Tomorrow, schools will reopen across the country, with many, unfortunately, still facing some challenges. Let's just take one province, for instance, KwaZulu-Natal. The recent floods have affected 59 schools, with some of the districts bearing the brunt in that area, with over 28 schools in a dire state. Other provinces, such as Gauteng and Limpopo, infrastructure and outstanding placements of learners still hamper the first day of the schools reopening. But to talk more about the 2024 school calendar readiness this year, we are joined virtually by Mugwena Maluleke, who is the Secretary General of SADTU, and Basil Manuel, who is the President of NAPTOSA. Gentlemen, great to have you. Thank you very, very much for joining us this year. This year. Compliments for the year, and thanks for joining us this morning. Let me try that again.
Good morning, and thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's good to have both of you. All right, so lots of numbers, a flurry of numbers. I mean, in fact, I'm actually looking at the school year, and it's telling us that there are going to be far less holidays this coming year than there were last year. Quite a shortened bunch of holidays. Instead of having 25 days off, that was this is what we're having this year. Last year, there were 32 days off in 2023. So already this year is going to be heavier academically, but how ready are we for this? Let's begin with you, Basil. How's the preparedness looking?
Leanne, I think the public has begun to understand that schools know their responsibility, principals, management teams, that schools must be ready to start. Yes, there are always little problems that arise, whether it be the KZN situation where we haven't had LTSM acquired on time in a large number of schools, or whether it be the vagaries of climate. But schools are ready by and large, and we will find that virtually all schools will open on time. They will have timetables. They will be ready to start. Whether the conditions are optimal at that time is a bit of a different question, because it happens in pockets where there are certain issues. We are confident that all teachers, irrespective of who they belong to and where they belong, will be ready to start the year.
Good, optimistic note there. But obviously there have been certain instances where it's been beyond anybody's control, and I bring up KwaZulu-Natal into this because of the very heavy floods that have affected the province. This is where we see the province's Department of Education trying to mitigate the unfolding crisis with over 175 mobile classes that have been dispatched to affected schools. Do you think this response, SG, will be enough for schools that are already facing other challenges if we look at KwaZulu-Natal?
Leon, let me thank you, and I agree with Basil that schools and teachers are ready. What we have to appreciate really is that out of COVID, we have learned a lot of lessons, and schools are beginning to prepare and plan on time. And therefore, these particular problems in KwaZulu-Natal of the schools that have been affected, we have seen a rapid response to really accommodate this situation by the Department of Education. And we can say that is the lesson that we have learned during COVID, that we have got to be ready for any contingency. We have got to make sure that our management and our departments work together in order to ensure that our children do not miss the first day of schooling. So yes, it will not be ready, but I think we need to be very positive and optimistic as the people of South Africa. Yes, we have got challenges, we have got our own problems and so forth, but that does not dampen the spirit of the teachers who do everything they can. And having built that particular resilience, they also understand that they will have got to come forward and make sure that they make use of any opportunity and improvise for our children to do that. And we know that we can really rely on our teachers and our management and the support that we can get from the department. However, whilst I have said it's not enough, it is that we have got to make sure that the department or the treasury has got to understand education is unique. Education is an investment into the social development of the nation, and therefore they have got to provide money for those particular infrastructure that has been destroyed. And austerity measures is not the answer, and we have to end it.
So let's try and take a look at a few issues. I mean, obviously, I know that we don't have too much time, but Basil, if we look at sort of 2023 in a nutshell, it certainly wasn't an easy year for teachers. They had to face many social ills, violence being one of the many that they had to, the lack of infrastructure, adequate infrastructure as well, and equipment. What are we looking like this year? You know, these are very difficult conditions for teachers to do what they are there to do.
Leanne, absolutely. There are many things that plague our system. That doesn't take away from people trying to do the right thing and trying to do their job. But we have social ills, we have very difficult to teach at schools, and we have very difficult community situations, which teachers themselves can't solve. We need a group of people from different instances to come together to try and address that. But even then, it is difficult. There are the lingering problems. And we've got to acknowledge that provinces like Gauteng, where they always have a huge influx of children, have built schools. We know that there are additional classrooms. We know about KZN and the problems they've had, and the Western Cape schools that have been opened and so on. But that notwithstanding, there's still overcrowding, which makes the lives of teachers extremely difficult. But more than that, the quality of teaching and learning cannot be expected to be the same in a class size that is not optimal. And once you start with 50s and so on, you are doing crowd control more than you are doing quality teaching, and there's no quality learning. Those are the lingering things that we need to address going forward. However, there is a positive spirit, and we want to embrace that. And when you look at the fact that even this year, the matriculants that are going to hear their results tomorrow and the next day, teachers had to put in extra effort to make up the deficits from COVID. And they rose to the occasion. And that is the type of spirit that we want to embrace, saying we have problems, we must attend to the problems. And I want to agree with Mugwena. He's absolutely correct around the uniqueness of education and why we need Treasury to come to the party.
Indeed, and that is something. I mean, overcrowding is a massive issue. Mugwena, if you don't mind just talking to us about that as well, just expanding on what Basil has said. You know, overcrowding in classes has always been a problem in most government schools, and this certainly isn't going to be different. And also trying to get into these schools, because we've heard that the lists may be sorted, but there's still this very technical and difficult route to try and get into certain schools. What do you believe some of the solutions can be, particularly for overcrowding, and then, of course, for those that are frustrated with not getting into schools?
Ian, let's start with those who are frustrated not getting into the schools. I think that is the urgent issue that we need to address, and therefore I believe that the parents must really cooperate with the school management. They have to cooperate with the district offices who are trying their best to be able to place their learners. But we need to sound a warning, Leanne, here, that it is not going to be just placing the learners. Despite the fact that about 32,000 might have not been placed in Gauteng, it is critical that you don't throw the learners away for the sake of saying you are placing them. Make sure that the distance that is being traveled is reasonable, and therefore it can contribute to quality learning of those particular learners. Don't subject them to problems of long walks and so forth. So that's the issue. So cooperation, parents really taking charge and taking responsibility of their children's education is so fundamental when we're dealing with these particular issues. Overcrowding in Gauteng, of course, because of the intra-migration from provinces and rural provinces where people are looking for jobs in Gauteng and Western Cape, of course, we'll continue to have that. The solution is going to be temporary. We have got to make sure that the department comes forward and provides those temporary classrooms. They must not be permanent, because it is water to teach teach in these mobile classes, and therefore it is not conducive for our teachers' health, it's not conducive for our learners' health, and therefore it must be a temporary arrangement. So planning in advance helps in a way. If parents really register their children on time, we know that, of course, what are the needs and therefore what space we require, and therefore we can be able to provide, relief while working with the department to provide those particular temporary classrooms and so forth. But for me, critical point is the parents must lead this time around in making sure that instead of seeing them fighting, we must see them really registering their learners on time. We must see them really giving their children support.
Yeah, and that is a message. I mean, responsibility has to be taken, but I imagine there's a lot of frustration from parents who do this on time, and still it is an issue for them. Basil, infrastructure. I think one of the biggest problems is infrastructure at schools as well, and particularly when you look at sanitation. So we saw SAFE, that's Sanitation Appropriate for Education initiative. It was instilled to address the infrastructure backlog in public schools. And the whole idea is to eradicate pit latrines, but we still see them there, which is a complete injustice in a schooling system when we sit in now the year 2024. What are your views on this?
I want to at first congratulate the department for actually trying to address the issue. You've mentioned the SAFE initiative, and it certainly has seen many schools and children's lives change because of the safer type of toilet that has been built. However, we want to see every school having appropriate toilets. But we also want to see every school that has it look after it, and every school that has it continue improving on what they have. Tragically, sometimes good facilities are destroyed by either neglect or not doing the regular maintenance. And we can't put more and lose at the same time. So this is an issue, a social issue that we've got to address. It's a parent issue, it's a child issue, it's a management issue, and we've got to look at that. But we've got to win this one. We cannot continue 30, 40 years on. It can't still be happening. And there are still some, and we know that the numbers have changed dramatically, particularly in 2023, and we hope that 2024 will see the end of this. We don't want to hear another story of a child having a mishap and tragically even passing away in a toilet system. That is just not on any
unacceptable. It really is. Gentlemen, we've got to start wrapping, but I just want to get a quick one. Basil, schools all around the country opening today, tomorrow, same day. This never normally happens. We usually sort of stagger the opening. Are you welcoming this change?
It has to do with how the calendar runs. Okay. Sometimes it is not possible to have a split calendar. But what is also good is that your private schools, your independent schools are opening at the same time. Yeah. We must stop creating these artificial differences between schools in provinces, etc. We are one education system. Yeah. Let's make it work. Yeah. But yes, there is a bit of a crush tomorrow.
And that, Basil, is a topic we want to invite you back for, if you would accept our invite to talk about some comments that we heard over the weekend or yesterday. I'm not too sure. Panyaza Lusufi was going and saying, why do we have two different type of writing of exams when we talk about IEB and then we talk about general as well? It's not right. He's saying we should have one. That's a big one. It really is. But I got to leave it there. Mugwena Maluleke, who is the South African Democratic Teachers Union Secretary General, talking to us, and Basil Manuel, President of the National Professional Teachers Organization of South Africa. 2024 schools begin tomorrow, and the readiness and preparedness of schools around the country. So thanks again to our guests. That's it. That's where we leave it, SK.
Indeed. Good luck. All the parents, all the little ones and the not so little ones going back to school, and of course to the educators.
Big day tomorrow, and as you heard, we'll be broadcasting from one of the schools tomorrow, so looking forward to being there, especially for the little grades, to see them going into their first day of school. It's always a highlight. But we'll see you there tomorrow. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.